he's done, with who he is, his character, his majesty, his wonders, his love, do we ask the same questions that the people in his hometown asked who knew him for 30 years? I want to tell you this, that it is possible to be in the house of Jesus. It is possible to be close to Jesus and never know. This weekend, everything that we're doing, all the worship, all the testimonies, all the speakers, every church, we are built upon this, that Jesus is everything. He's everything. It's not an option. It's not really up for discussion. But what's amazing is that you see people who were the closest to him, actually received the least amount from him. I don't know if you grew up in church. I did. Holler, preacher's kid. And you have siblings. Anybody have brothers, sisters? That's your sister? Nice. We tend, when our siblings do amazing things, we tend to not care too much about it, or we tend to like suppress how awesome it is. So he's probably be like, yeah, but dude, he farts, so. What we try to do with people familiar is we reduce it to our level so we actually feel better about ourselves. And if you listen to the questions that the people ask when they meet Jesus, listen to this. What's this wisdom that has been given to him? What are these remarkable miracles he's performing? Isn't this the carpenter? Isn't this Mary's son and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? And his brothers, that list of brothers, the brothers in the Gospel of John, it says that there's this moment where his brothers didn't believe in who he was, and they were trying to give him PR advice, and they're like, hey, Jesus, I'm your brother, so you need to listen up. Anyone who wants to be a public figure needs to come out into the open. And they were actually mocking him because they didn't believe who he was either. And that's significant because of what happens to his brothers later in life. But the question remains with this. Are you too familiar with an incomplete picture of Jesus? Have you lived too long, all your life, maybe 30 years, close to Jesus, but never fully knowing? Jesus doesn't have an insecurity that he has to do a lot of miracles to prove himself to you. That's actually just who he is, and our invitation is to step into who he actually is. And these questions that the people ask, isn't his very son, and aren't his sisters here with us? Isn't he like us? Isn't he just like me? Haven't we seen this guy grow up? And this is what happens to us when we encounter Jesus. What we usually do, if we have unbelief in our heart, is we take Jesus and we run him through the criteria of how we think he should speak, what we think he should do, what we think he cares about, what we think he would say, and we end up with a Jesus that looks a lot more like us than it does a lot more like him. And the invitation of the kingdom and the good news is that it's the reverse. You actually get to take your life and your thoughts and your understanding and your belief and your job and your family and your friends, the way you speak, what you do, and you run all that through Jesus, and you actually end up looking a lot like him. Woo! And it happened to be that the people who knew him the most received from him the least. Have you lived too long